All right, so that's good now for the historic commission. And I guess real quick, while you guys are still here, is everyone good with a potential meeting date of May 20th? For public hearing for 24 Maple Street. If you saw the email I sent, she's taking down a little outbuilding as part of this addition. I think it's probably should go through demo delay just to be full.
Yeah, it's an attached piece, yeah.
We were saying, I think it's original to the house.
So May 20th.
But if that date works, that'll give us enough time to post everything and get the letters out.
What time?
I think, I would say it's 7.
7.
We can close that one out.
All right.
Well, I should have mentioned this, I'll send an email, I do have a bunch of notes in the design guidelines of things to look into, maybe you should think about in the next, 6 months to do another revision of those
Yeah, for sure.
as we learn more. Every time weird things come up, I've just been putting notes in that file.
Washington.
Which one? 31.
Definitely something on signing.
Well, right, I think that's come up a few times, mailboxes, just anytime there's been a weird question, I feel like we should expound upon that in the guidance
Right.
to try and help, people.
Well,
And then someday we should do North Ave, but.
Yeah, it's been.
Ruth, are you and the other people willing to do the plantings for Memorial Day again?
Yes.
Okay, so say this before, and what parks can reimburse, I meant to ask about that. That would be amazing. Just let us know if there's any need from us.
Center by the lights on 16.
No, this one, and the Civil War.
It looks nice out there with the red tulips.
I don't know what they're like bulbs, they just come back. The problem is they're all gonna be dead by Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
okay.
it brightens it up now.
Yeah, right, for now, yeah.
So
They'll be gone by the rest of the spring.
That actually looks, well, now when we did that all, that looks pretty good. And then Civil War, I've been leaving alone because the state's gonna redo it all. So once they do that, I think it'll be much better
I hope.
10 years from now.
Yeah, great.
Well, they'll reset that whole monument and fix that wall up.
Yeah.
I mean, you were on one of those calls.
Is that still the plan, is to leave it in place, or were they gonna move it?
Give me a second, I'll find, Brendan sent me the latest. It wasn't on the agenda, but.
It's Maple and Route 16.
Right at the intersection.
Oh, the tall one with the big circle.
The one that has the guy's name on it, bigger than what it's for. which I
It's
think-
Boston, and I think that was because the town
Because he paid
never
for it.
stepped up to the plate to recognize the boys that they lost, and a lot of them were lost in Andersonville. At the, which was the torturous, horrible encampment prison, yeah. And they died miserable deaths, and no one did anything about it. His resources, they were big letters, and,
Which is, I didn't know that aspect of it.
dedication and
Facebook, you just want my messages.
It's I don't know, they're all good stories. It's really pretty remarkable. There's a grant cycle that's being offered, and it's, reading it's with Frederick Douglass, and then there's some staffing ones, like available staffing for different projects. And they're supposed to be small towns in Massachusetts. We're gonna dig our teeth into it, because we've just got a predominantly farmer-led, existence. But there was one about, I think it was Greenfield, did one on female farmers who took the reins while everyone went off to war. So it'd be great if we had information like that, but I don't know, the stories that go.
Apparently, I won't be accessing this anytime soon.
I'm gonna go.
So,
Was that?
What? I thought this was joint, but it's not.
Oh, is it joint?
No, I don't know.
I don't,
Are we joint now?
no.
Next one is joint.
I posted 2 separate meetings, I think it's mixed up.
That's okay.
But we can do joint, I mean, that's fine, I mean, I can continue, I just.
Well, I don't
really
think, I just wanted to
about
double
it.
check that date, and then I'll try,
Okay.
I'll have to find the stuff on the intersection.
Yeah,
Gonna take it
anything
back to
you want, that
Congress
would be great.
to get it. Brendan Chanel sent me the latest presentation that had the plans. I think they're not even starting construction until like, I almost wanna say 26.
They moved it again?
Or what do you?
Wasn't it
I thought
like
it was
originally
25.
like 2022 at one point,
COVID like
and then
shut the
like.
whole thing down for
But
like
I
2
thought that was
years.
2025.
That
I
might
thought
be-
we looked that up the last.
Maybe
time.
that's a completion date.
So, but it's just amazing, it's almost mind-boggling to see all these other communities that have gotten work
So
done.
much done.
And it's like, we're just kind of hanging in the balance.
I don't understand.
I mean, Hopeville's done, Milford's done, Oxbridge is done.
And they just Emerson Street.
And then they'll get all of that. From.
Ooh, I found it.
Yeah,
Megan's last.
Hang on. I found it by some miracle in my
What
email.
is that?
Open up. Couldn't share your content. Of course not. Why not? Window. Yeah. I think.
You don't need any us or anything.
We're gonna go home. You guys can stay here.
There was, my,
Track of these, I'll give you.
this is, so that's Hartford Ave West. That's Millville Street.
Plus I had
And then I think we're getting a traffic light at Millville Street as part of the
Are
grocery
we?
store.
right.
Meeting here in time.
And
Is the grocery store approved?
Whatever kind of, it's in the public interest, it came back. This is, oh yeah, so I think the Veterans Memorial is staying, yeah, I don't know if you can see this, let me try and. It's staying, they're just gonna cut out, they're gonna shorten the triangle and get rid of this cut through. And then I think it's the Brothers that's gonna get substantially changed, which I believe they've talked
You
about.
guys gonna toss the turf?
But that whole upper triangle,
Hopefully.
I know, you know what though? it-
I die a little inside.
I get it, I do too, I did the same thing.
You can't mow it,
Ah,
so I think they felt like it was.
But why don't, I have a plan. Let's just put some perennials in there.
Yeah, something not grass.
And then you don't need to mow it. Or like wild, like tall grass or something and let it,
Yeah,
give it that
Well, probably
farming
because that's
feel.
Bruce's business.
so I think, because remember, they
Sure.
found that we owned this triangle,
Yes.
thanks to the trees.
Yep,
So this should be good, they'll reset this, clean it up, and we won't have a huge triangle of nothingness.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
gets wrecked by the salt anyway. And then I think the sidewalks, that will keep the, because I think this yellow is new sidewalk.
Who handles the, like Upton has, what is it, the Upton bloomers? Right, and they do like the plantings around town, am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Who does that in Mendon?
Nobody.
Kathy and I have done it once.
Yeah, I was just saying to Ruth, like Ruth and others volunteered their time.
Okay.
yeah, Ginger, that's probably.
I recruited Fred first.
Yeah,
I said, hey Fred, you're retired.
Yeah, right.
But Warren can't do it anymore.
No.
but that, you know, we had a single 30-hour person for parks, it's seasonal, we had no staff, we had no nothing.
Well, no, I didn't know if there was like a group of volunteers.
No, they have an adopt-a-site program, so the Lions did one.
Garden club.
A garden, a Mendon garden club.
So
There's a lot.
Ian Mazar has been after me to put something up on Facebook, which I just haven't gotten around to,
Yeah.
about getting people to, you know,
Volunteer.
adopt Thomas Park and
Yeah,
the different, you know, sites, because, you know.
Would be good if you just had a group that could take on it and just say, hey, we're gonna go do all the weeding, you know, like, really what you guys are doing.
No, but I like that idea that somebody adopt a particular area.
like responsible for the spot.
Yeah, even if
responsible
it's
for the
just you
spot.
get one bed on Founder's Park, that's your, you know.
Well, we should,
Yeah, every year it gets a little more complicated, it's, the weeds are more complicated,
Mhm.
now that we're trying to contend with, so.
I would be, you know, I'd be happy to help coordinate it if we can write it up, because I didn't think of that, like each person could do a single flower bed or something.
Yeah.
I would do something, yeah.
I think there's interest, it's just, it's the same as the cemeteries, we put it together
Yeah,
and figure it out.
absolutely.
All right,
All right.
it was a pleasure. I will see you all next month.
I'll see you. make the rounds.
I went to the one in Worcester today. Yeah, it's good, yeah.
So sorry, I missed it.
Well, Jay is sick. Amy had a meeting. We're running a little short. With meetings, you know.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
So that's fine. Kathy, you sent out minutes.
He did.
I don't know if
Good.
people had a chance to look them over. Of course did not. Okay, that
Do you want a
one.
couple minutes?
No, I want to see what they were. That's old. Okay. So I mean, somebody wants to make a motion. Yeah,
Who wants to make a
Once.
motion?
yeah, let me find it again. I'll accept the motion.
No,
for
no, yes. Talk it over.
Can we have one motion for all three
Yeah.
dates? Make motion to accept the minutes from January 4th, 24, January 25th, 2024, and March 28th, 2024.
Nice. Who would like a second?
But.
Who would like a second? Karen said.
Don't know where the motion.
And then all in favor.
Aye.
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 All right. Second. So I emailed this out, I put on the agenda about 24 Maple Street. They're proposing an addition to the property, which is gonna come before the Historic District Commission. As part of that, they need to demolish a small, section. So here, it's just this little bump out on the back of the house. And I think a little bit of this bulkhead is getting relocated. We don't think, she doesn't think it's original to the house, it's probably a little bit later, it's certainly old.
Is it used for anything? Like, is it just storage?
Let me find the plans that we had open.
She called it a shed, so they must probably just throw things.
Here, oh yeah, shed, right here, Kathy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's not even tied, it's not even connected through, it's a separate outbuilding.
yeah.
Oh,
What'd you forget?
keys?
Oh,
I always forget something.
They came anywhere.
Yeah, you can't get far with those.
No.
They walk.
Yeah. We'll see.
Bye.
so I figure it barely qualifies, but it should go before demo delay.
Yeah.
And I think because we share so many members, it makes sense to just do a joint hearing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I think we should waive the fees because Historic District does not charge any fees and there's no added cost for this hearing. It's the same letter, the same, just, a second legal ad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it'll just say, it actually one legal ad with two things in it, so there's no added cost. And that's the May 20th date.
Are you looking to delay her? Like delay, or it's just we have to discuss it?
No, yes, the way the bylaw has been modified now is any proposed demolition of one of these structures that's on this list, it triggers a hearing in which we could enact a 9-month delay. Or we could look at it and find, I believe it's not preferably preserved, so we're basically saying that it's, doesn't have historic significance.
Okay.
So when I was writing up the meeting minutes, I think there's, the language, about being historically significant but not preferably
Right.
preserved.
Like-
That we should probably let the two go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think we've done that in the past, where we've said, this is significant, but in the grand, the bigger scheme of things.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
there's no saving it, yeah.
We don't care, I'd rather have the whole house than a shed.
Yeah.
Or, in the case of some of these ones that just, it's significant, but there's no reason to make them wait another 9 months when it's been years and there's
Yeah.
no alternative. Which is the unfortunate, I think, reality here for a lot of them. Yeah, so it used to be that it would come to us and we would determine significance and then decide if it needed a hearing. But that was anything, like if you wanted to tear down a brand new anything. So then the revision of the bylaw created a list of properties that were older than a certain date. So if the property's not on that list, it doesn't even come to us.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just
Yeah.
more asking if you were doing it for the formality of it, or like you're actually looking to, like, we're looking to delay that, because I feel like that would be
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of dumb to delay it,
see any
just for that.
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah, that's, that's always one of the things that you look at when you decide whether to, go into hearing. A lot of times we try to resolve things before, by meeting with people and discussing what options may or may not be available. And then we run into hearing time. From that point, it's do we delay or do we not delay?
I mean, it's nice, I think I said this in an earlier meeting, it's nice that someone is, they're not just saying, I want to tear this house down and build a new house. It's an adaptive renovation.
Yeah.
Or addition, which I think is what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
It's a significant house. Oh, do we have old pictures of that house? I told her to ask you.
There is a
I had a hard
trolley
time.
shot. A shot of a trolley coming up. I think it's on the website.
I skimmed those historic house photos really quick, but you have to figure out like what it was called, because they reference. We're just curious what the ages of those old shingled siding.
Right.
Because it makes you look and just do siding.
Yeah, I mean, when did shingles come into play? Although they were used to, cedar shingles were used for roofing.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because it's out of character with the rest of the district.
Oh, yeah, but between those two houses, 24 and 26, I believe there had to be, is there a long-standing family connection beyond the Dudleys?
I don't know. What did she, that was like for Frank Dudley's house. I think.
And prior to that, it was the other one was the inn, the Keith Inn.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
Well, yeah, we'll see what we can dig out for photos.
So I think that's everything on that. And then we have the lovely record room.
Yes, how are we?
So in the mail this morning was an envelope from the state mass, whatever, with our signed executed contract back from Ross Legal. Thank God. So now there was a bunch of emails with David and Mike. Now we need to sign the contract with the contractor, which I believe we're all set to do. We got the contract back from Karis. I don't know which emails you were on or not. That was an adventure. So we got the contract back from Karis with her comments. I'm trying to find the folder.
So Karis is.
Town council, sorry.
Okay, she often will review the contracts that we put together. It's a very complicated process.
Yes.
Why, when you hire a town manager, you hire somebody who's very well versed in writing contracts and bidding procedures and everything else, so.
Following up with vendors that don't respond to things in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Just like, whatever. So. And thank you, I know Mike helped, Greg has been helpful, I'm Rolly, to try and push that along.
Yeah.
So let me say here. I agree, will you forward to JB, would you like me to do that? So I think we just gotta send the contract now. It sounds like it's a pretty quick job, like a week worth of work, there's get in there, you do what they need to do.
When are they gonna do it? The very date?
Yeah, well, it has to happen before June 30th.
Right.
So I think as soon as we sign this contract, the last time we talked to this guy, he's ready to go. This is, so just for context, this has been like every step of the way. We had an architect who then ditched us, then we found Armando, so he did all the design, but then he couldn't finalize the bid packet, so then we partnered with Mike Petrovic, who's the senior project. He did all that, we sent it got all done, then the state rejected it because they missed some deadlines, we had to do it again. Then we got two bids back. Had it all set, had a low bidder, sent that to the state, and then he rejected it again, said that our bids required somebody to have experience doing at least 5 historic projects. And then Mike Petrovic had to check all the references, find a whole list, send them all back. That got approved. This has been, I mean,
That's insane.
I'm glad that they don't, they're very good stewards of the state's money, but this has been one of the most particular grants I've ever been a part of. We need to approve, we have a sign that we have to put up, which I was waiting, and I will now order. Now that I'm reasonably certain we're not wasting our money.
You did that time?
No.
Red sign?
Karen Mullen.
Oh.
Karen Mullen at Signs Plus, so
Yeah.
you did your signs for the senior.
But, you did all the wording.
Well, yeah, but so like, has to be this exact thing in italic font, this exact paragraph. Oh, yeah. The only comment back was on the name, and I think Kathy, you sent that to me, right?
Yeah, I thought it should be a set basis law office.
And that's what Ross,
Versus the records from.
so, I got too many emails.
Because I think, when you're trying to get things funded, if you say, oh, we're gonna try to fund record rooms,
Yeah.
why? Because it has no historic connection.
And it's gonna be red.
It has to be 48 inches by 48 inches, bright red with white, oh yeah. There's an entire 2 pages of instructions on this sign.
Wow.
That's interesting.
1 inch thick, whatever, although we're doing it on Taiwan, he said that's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have Karen revise this, so it'll be the Seth Hastings Law Office. And then down below, I don't know if I thought it was kind of cool to have all these also known as blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah,
So then so it'll be the Mendon Post Office, Connellville Taylor Shop, Aldridge Shop, City Hall Record Storage. I'll leave it at those.
Yep.
And then the rest of this is fine, we can't do logos. It was suggested, so Armando's the designer, Michael's the architect, the contractor,
Perfect.
recipient, and then that'll probably be a few $100.
yeah.
So we'll pay for that, I think, out of our
We
account.
can probably afford that. Nothing else, but what were made.
It's not me, because I haven't heard that, so.
Um,
And I do have an update on the financing too. It sounds like, so we were gonna go to CPA to ask for more, there's a lot of complications with the money to make it simple. But according to Ann, there's still pre-approved administrative funds that she thinks we can use without having to ask for more. So I was waiting for her to answer me, just to confirm, but I think we're all set. So I paid outstanding bill to Armando. We owe, I think it's like 5,000 they charged money to the senior center project account, they need to charge to the other account. And then there's some more expenses, and then there's another like $1,000 just for him to oversee the last construction phase. It sounds like the recommendation is to just have Petrovic do that at this point.
yeah,
And then the only thing is a portion of the money to pay this contractor is gonna have to wait on the final reimbursement, which is gonna have to wait for the preservation restriction, which could take a while. But I think it will all be workable. We just need to be upfront with them that final payment, we may not be able to pay that bill until August.
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, as long as we're, upfront and they understand the
Yeah.
process.
The lesson learned is we need to appropriate 100% match. So what happened is we write the grant, they tell you it's 50% match for the contingency, so it's 75%.
Right.
But then they reduced the grant amount because the grant awards are flexible. And by that time, we had voted, and I don't think we realized like how tight it all
Budget
was.
gonna be, yeah.
And so like, we need that reimbursement to pay the contractor, but the reimbursement is conditioned on all these things.
Yeah.
It's turned into
It's
a lot of work for
Very-
$64,000.
It's maybe an overcomplicated process, but, you know, we hope at the end of the day it works and, you know, maybe it can be streamlined a little bit more somewhere down the road.
I have not been in there, I know you had some concerns about the wall, I meant to go over there. I mean, is the sump even working, or is it just?
I don't know, I haven't even stepped in there yet.
The last time I was there, it was just swirling the water around, which made me think the pump had failed.
Yeah.
Which is part of what they're gonna replace, but.
Yeah. It's probably the first thing that we need to do, just so they can dry that out.
Yeah, pump water out.
See, that was my biggest concern
Yeah,
at the
it's-
onset, is if it's not a dry workspace, it's gonna set them back.
Yeah, I mean, this guy seems very, I mean, he has experience, he's not like some hack, they're legitimate.
Yeah.
And he seemed confident that this was a fairly simple job to, you know, they're gonna dig it all up, put in all the drainage, fix up the foundation.
But I need to be digging mud.
And then we may have to come back and deal with, you know, some of the pointing at a later date, and maybe we can go back to CPA for that. But at least to stabilize the building, and address the
Yeah.
water issues, and dry it out.
Well, again, I think it's really important to get it dry before they start working down there, because they're gonna, I mean, all they'll be doing is hauling mud. And that's gonna be twice the amount of labor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about this, I know when they did that water main break, you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
They threw pumps in the hole and pumped everything out, and
yeah.
they seemed to.
Well, there is
do
more
it.
buildings getting on it, so that's what, you know, I guess that's, yeah, maybe we should take a look at it and see what's going on.
I get a Mo Founders Park, I haven't done that, so if I do, I'll stick my head in the area. But that's that.
So,
And I mean,
Can you
again,
go in there, is it a, can you go in, or is it locked?
it's locked.
it's locked.
The basement, I mean, you go to the basement, yeah, I don't think the bulkhead's locked.
That's okay.
Bring your own keys.
Oh,
Did you guys go in it?
No.
No, we have to go
No,
over
we
it.
didn't have to go in it. I'm just really bad.
I know.
To several sites.
It's a really cool little building, I would love it for like an office or something.
Yeah, oh, that would be great.
I just had a conversation with somebody in Mendon who's looking for a place to set up a small kitchen that needs to be inspected because she's starting a mobile bartending company. Like that, you know, that's a perfect example of something that could go in there if you had, you know, the water and sewer addressed.
Right, right.
Where somebody needs, you know, a home base.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I think to somebody, it's gonna be a great little building, but till we get water and sewer, our hands are tied. It's one of those situations where in 20 years, when I'm in my wheelchair, I'm down Main Street.
Wow, See, that's why we're doing that ADA ramp.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can go in. That's all right. It's the beauty of watching the town grow.
Well, I don't know if there was anything else. I do know, probably in the fall, we do need to talk about this building and try again with the windows, and it sounds like there's interest in doing it, but it needs to be led by a town administrator.
Yeah, so is it, I'm assuming that it's been put on capital plan.
Mike Goddard is aware of it for sure. I think it's one of the items on that. Mike Goddard's been working on like a capital plan for the town.
Okay, all right, so we should probably check in with him and see if,
Well, right, the goal is just to make a list of everything and start prioritizing, but this one, because the funding is CPA and grants, it doesn't have to wait, you know, for a day.
As long,
You know, so we can fund it, it's the design work. And I think there's some question about the gutters next door, needs to be addressed. And I think, you know, if it were me, I would wanna look at all the, you know, let's do the doors, the windows, the gutters.
yeah,
I don't know what they were planning for the interior. Personally, I wouldn't do anything, but if someone else is aware of work that needs to be done, that could get added in.
yeah.
You know, she never disclosed what was part of that plan. You know, same deal with like the third floor, you know, maybe at least get somebody in to repaint.
Yeah, that's, the ceiling really needs.
Do you paint it or do you strip it back to tin?
That one you might have to strip back to.
Like, no, what should you do?
Ceiling line.
Should it be tin though, or should it be painted? Were they painted? No.
Most often it was painted just because
Yeah.
it looked more presentable.
I mean, it seems like those pieces of plastic that are sagging are stable,
Yeah,
but it's still probably something that eventually those are gonna come down and we need to figure out how to brace all that, but I know we were at that meeting, it sounds like that's a huge production
yeah.
with that engineer. Who was that? I think Janice was here, we had some guy that met with us, he looked at a couple things,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was like a consultant.
Yep.
We went up in the attic, and he said that was part of the problem, is he didn't know how it was constructed, that like box around it, where it's
Yeah.
lowered.
Yep.
You go upstairs and look, you can see like.
That's what I'm
plastic
wondering, what you're talking about, upstairs,
Yeah.
like,
Like up.
oh, where?
Yeah.
There's another floor?
No, and then up in the third floor, the second, whatever it is, upstairs meeting room.
Oh.
Look around, next time you're up there, look
Yeah.
around the perimeter, you'll see it kind of does this.
Yes.
But it's not moving, we drew pencil lines on it, it hasn't moved.
It's not shifting. He didn't seem horribly concerned.
Uh,
Because it is an old building.
Yeah. Well, that's what, and nobody, like, good luck fixing it, nobody does that work anymore.
Yeah, no.
So it might be worth going to them either later in the summer or towards the end of summer and fall, the select board, and just saying, listen, like, we need to talk about it. You know, we gotta do something.
Yeah. And what would be your recommended approach to tackling the window issue again? Because I mean, it looked like we were about 3/4 of the way there and then everything got yanked.
I mean, I was very
Yeah.
impressed with that, as for all the BS, that Connor,
Yeah,
whatever, he seemed to know what he was talking about. He had experience, you know, I don't know if they wanna take a step back and solicit other proposals. But
Yeah.
I mean, we had that meeting with you, me, and Lynn and Kim.
yeah,
And he was talking about different options, and I kind of thought the next step was for him to come up with proposals.
right. And we don't know that ever.
No, I think it went off the radar, because then I gave his info to somebody, like, a year later, Laura or Mike or somebody was looking for it, but which is another project, nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important maybe to make sure that it is directed to the town administrator, that, you know, what role we can play is.
I mean, I think our role should be advisory, we're in the planning phase, we give you the feedback on the project. We're not the ones scheduling the work, doing the day-to-day part, at that point, there's a project manager, whoever that is, if that's, we hire somebody, you know, a Dan Gardner or whoever, but I think, and that was what I think where this all blew up, is that they didn't feel like they needed our input, or they came and talked to us once and then went and did something totally different. And said, oh, Kathy said, that's great, so everything going forward is perfect, and it's like, well, no, that's not all what we agreed to. Like, in fact, what we agreed to was totally different. You know, and David was great, Greg has been helpful.
Yeah.
But they're, you know, again, they're just intros, they're not,
Right. This is a lot for them to walk into on top of all the regular.
you know, this is a big
Take
project.
something on.
You know, and maybe this gentleman can serve as the kind of project manager for that, because that's probably a big enough project that we would really want a project manager.
Right.
You know, it's not just a small little thing.
Right. So,
But my takeaway was
Yeah.
even design, the state wasn't necessarily too particular because the originals are already gone.
right, yeah.
We just
Because
need
there are
to-
also some, you know, acceptable
Right,
replacements that have been approved through the MHC, so.
yeah, I mean, it does all have to be wood, we can't use AZAC or anything like that.
So what kind of time frame do you want to put on the windows?
I mean, my impression is, unfortunately, my impression is that absent the town administrator, they are very reluctant to take on any new projects.
So we're
There's
probably
very
looking
little
at some-
appetite. I think, you know, I mean, supposedly they have another round of interviews. I don't know, I think, I mean, I personally, I'm crazy busy now for a little bit. I would think maybe towards the end of July, August, we should maybe follow up with the select board and maybe get on their agenda and have a meeting and just say, hey, let's talk about the next phases of this.
Yeah,
I mean, we certainly, I think we have the money, right, to pay Connor. Didn't we approve like $40,000 of engineering or design work?
I thought we did.
I don't think any of that's probably been touched.
So
So to just
how
start
do we
over,
get clarification?
that's it, Azar. So I think we ask her tomorrow to clarify.
All right.
Now, this is for windows?
Yeah, so all these windows in this building are just piece of crap, like replacement depot windows. They're all garbage. They're failing. They're low efficiency. They're, plastic. Because at some point, so they changed all the windows and ripped out all the originals and put it in garbage because nobody knew what they were doing. And it was before any restrictions were in place. And when was that? Probably the 80s or early.
Yeah, late 80s.
Chris Newman became the name I heard.
Yeah.
He was the one that fought against it at the time.
And Jane.
But when Dan Gardner did all the work, all this, and all the, I don't know what he called, all the parts, he just screwed all this in.
Oh.
So it's very easy to come back and swap out the windows. So like they kind of planned ahead,
That's great.
but because there's
All of it.
every the ones that he touched.
Yeah.
Because there's a preservation restriction in place, you can't just swap the windows, the state has to sign off on them.
Oh.
Basically, so a preservation restriction is basically like a conservation restriction for a building. Mass Historic gets involved and they have to permit. I think there's a valid argument to be that this interior work probably pushed the boundaries of what should have been allowed without approvals, but they claim it was all partition walls. But definitely the windows need approval. So that'll be a big process, but
And you use CPA money for that?
yeah, it's all historic.
And there's no grants you can go after for that?
Well, we could do another one of these NPPF grants, but I am not interested ever again. I mean, it would be worth it if it was a big project, but of course, what was the number you had? 40-something windows or something?
Oh, yeah. 46. There's a lot.
I mean, assuming everything passes at town meeting as it was presented, we're gonna end with $1.8 million in CPA still.
Still,
And that doesn't account for the additional like $600,000 every year that comes back in.
Yeah.
We got plenty of money.
Yeah.
And even like, so these windows, we can take on debt just from CPA. So we might look at that and say, we're gonna finance this over 5 years and pay it just out of CPA, it doesn't affect anyone's taxes.
Oh, wow.
That's a potential option.
Yeah.
That's a good option.
I mean, that's what we're doing, so like part of the debt for the fire station, police station is paid out of CPA because it's the portion that represents the historic work that was done. I mean, it's hard because there's just all these projects and nobody to actually do them.
Right.
It's the same thing for parks or any of this other stuff.
I think maybe that's where capital planning is gonna become so important in this town, is that we've got to move forward with it, because all these projects just drop off. And speaking of projects
Have you-
that drop off,
Have you talked to Mike Goddard? They formed a committee internally to really pull together like a capital plan, and I think the goal is to build something and then turn it over to an actual committee that can then run with it.
Oh, that's great.
Because I think in the past, they bring in these groups and they were just overwhelmed. But he's been doing some really good work, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
that maybe we're finally getting some.
I know they had asked
Did-
what, what the
just,
commission
historic and,
felt would be important.
so those are
Really,
his
the
list.
signage would be really nice to come out of the town budget, but
Well, so that one, I don't have any time, it's gonna have to wait. We just gotta walk through this, what we need to do is get Karen Mullen. I'd love to like get you, Jody's another one, and Ellen, and just walk through and just make a list. There's a million things, the weights and measures, get those books back here, get some display cases,
Yeah.
put, vinyl, some stickers on the windows. But we just gotta like
So the birds don't.
figure it all out. I'm talking about the office window.
Sorry.
Well, I think, that should say treasure collector's office, like an old tiny font.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every day people come in here and they know where to go.
But even around town, it's like the
Yeah.
historic district should be designated as it is in every other town. It's like,
Well, I got a I forgot about this. I got a catalog the other day from a flag company and that was one of the things. So the brothers, they have all those memorial flags.
right,
I think the brackets stay up.
they do,
We could, in the off season, could put a
Good
historic
idea,
district.
yeah.
yeah.
I know they're really busy, so we have to, be nice to John and
Negotiate, yeah.
beg him to help us or tell him we'll do, because that would be kind of cool to have a couple. And we talked about doing like entering historic district signage and it just
Yeah.
never really made much progress.
And I
but
know-
We can still do something with that.
Ruth O'Grady was hoping that we could get some for every subsection of Mendon, like for example,
Yeah.
the South Milford section, which was Cape Road, and then Albieville, which is on the, down there, Millville Road, and then Birch Alley, which is Washington Street, so kind of giving the flavor of, the historic character of the town. I think when you don't have signage, people just don't pay attention.
Right.
They just don't think anything's there, which could be part of the problem we have.
Well, we should, so if you find, we should find examples of signage, because that's kind of where it stalled out last time with the district.
Right.
We had some examples and then it was just super complicated figuring out the installation and it just kind of petered out, but maybe now with new people, new highways, or
Yeah.
whatever, we can, we can just pay and have, Acme Sign Company put the sign in the ground, they don't need to do any work,
Yeah,
we just need somebody to sign off on it.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky on Route 16, but in other places, we can certainly put signs up on town roads.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, even those outside of where they do the brothers flags, it probably wouldn't be too bad to put those telephone pole type flags up
Right, yeah,
in a more permanent spot.
yeah, those are pretty easy, and I know, a lot of communities do. So,
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And I don't know if I think they were talking about trying to do photographs of those flags now, but I don't know, I forget. What they said, is Rich still doing it or he back off of that?
When I was in Holden last August, they did photos of their veterans on flags. It was really, yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Bolton has it too.
Bolton does, yeah. I mean, I think it's a great way to memorialize the people that,
When it differentiates the ones that are just, we support our troops from the, Acme company versus a
Right.
true memorial flag, and then let's both of those happen.
yeah,
Because I think that's been one of their problems is, you don't want to say no to donations, but
right, yep.
Are those the same flags that go up every year, or do you get new ones
It's-
every year?
I think it's a 2-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So you pay the money, they buy the flag, they put it up for 2 seasons, and then at the end of the season, you get the flag. Personally, you get the flag back, and then you can do it again.
Oh,
And then I think if
okay.
there's openings each year, they allow them, if I remember correctly. The Brothers of the Brush do it, and I don't think it's not really a fundraiser, I think it pretty much just pays the costs and that's it, because it's kind of expensive.
Yeah,
He either did or will post the advertisement. I honestly can't remember.
I think Rich isn't doing it this year. I don't know who took over the flags, but that would be a great suggestion.
I wish I could remember, I wasn't at the last meeting, I was at one a while ago, I feel like it was discussed. Maybe we're in the 2nd year, so they weren't gonna change it yet, or something like
Yeah.
that. The other one too, is that all the circus signs. That I almost, I don't know if the society is interested, because I think the society could do it as a fundraiser. But if the society doesn't wanna deal with it, maybe the town, we should be looking at just buying, 10 a year, and we're just gonna put them up.
Yeah,
We've got that 3,000 a year,
get everyone
they're not that
that,
expensive,
do kind of like a lottery system.
but they've been, I think those are really helpful, because those are what get people to call you, and go, wait a minute, what's going on with this house I'm about to buy?
Right, I think that's a great idea, Dan.
What was they were expensive, weren't they?
I think they're about $100 now.
Okay. Well, maybe we should, if we have some time and we're kind of, if we can come up with if you know of some that we should do, we've got money we've got to spend by June 30th.
Well, we should do the library.
We're gonna do the sign. The Founders Park signs, that's like $500. This library right here.
Yeah,
Did you have it?
I thought I wrote about a
I have
draft.
this vague memory of seeing something.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the draft from the library.
Yeah, we should do the library.
Whose term is up in 24 June?
Mine's up on this one, mine's up on this one too. Okay. And have you talked to Connie? I know.
I
Just asked her if she's planning on.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna renew, I think she's just, over stuff.
Things going on, yeah.
So maybe it would be a good idea for us as a new group, you as a new group, to kind of figure out what goals we set for the year. We're already several months in. But I mean, there are all kinds of, like Dan said, there's all kinds of loose ends that haven't been tied yet. One would be the Big Mill Cemetery wall.
Yeah, all that we just kind of.
So maybe that's something that we could I can nag at him. I'll go in on Friday and just give him an earful.
I was gonna call Brazza, I just haven't, now I don't have time, but
Yeah,
we gotta call them and get them to be up that quote, or try and find another contractor that does big masonry projects.
yeah. So those granite posts on this
Yeah.
cemetery wall, they're 15 feet long. And, one false move. So there's been a lot of erosion in that cemetery and, the graves are sinking and there's.
This is the old cemetery?
No,
This is
Steve,
Big
I'll speak.
Oh, big mill, yeah.
Yeah,
What street is that on?
down there on Parker Court.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we approached him several years ago and actually had money appropriated to have it repaired. He gave us a quote, but never followed through with us to set up and do the work. And we've been down a couple of times to visit, so I think,
It's these. Right. These big pieces up here.
Oh, miss,
Oh, here's one, you can see that fell.
yeah.
yeah, so, it's kind of
I mean,
dangerous.
do you know Eric Peterson?
Yeah.
So Eric Peterson basically said once that this scares him. So that means it's serious, because he's like a legit big,
Yeah.
like
Where
these
is he
things.
now?
Up north.
Is he?
Yeah, he retired. I think he's still doing landscaping, like just small jobs for
Mhm.
himself. I don't
And that
think-
is gonna be a crazy lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the pins in the wall between each layer of stone are iron rods.
Yeah.
So they, the rest of them.
So what needs to be done? Just,
That, what they have to do is they've got to deconstruct parts of that wall
This
and put
too.
in drainage so that instead of the water, coming in behind the wall, it will
come through
be
it?
absorbed to go down either under or out.
Yeah,
And then reset the stones and figure out how to secure them. Because they're all drilled for these pins. but,
yeah.
What was the estimate on that, John?
A couple of years ago, it was 30,000. So I guess it's probably more, but one of the things he reassured us is that his guys have, they have a lot of experience in building stone walls and, and they're right around the corner, so,
So he's still
the
available.
cost estimate is, a lot easier, if you can find somebody local, because we went out,
Yeah.
we scavenged all over the Boston area, we had nobody that would come out.
Really?
Yeah, because, and it's like the records room, the project is too small for the big ticket, people to come out and, do
The
it.
12 is this, but no prevailing wage.
Somebody local, which limits you know, what you find and whether or not they've had historic experience. So, you know,
I will say, my dealings with Raza, they are top notch.
oh, yeah,
They have done some major last minute emergency fixes for water.
right,
I can try and email them, I don't have time to get on the phone with these right now, but just see if we can re-up this, and I just looked, it was 12,000, but no prevailing wage,
yeah,
so it's probably 20.
at least, yeah.
The trees are done right now, right? He did them?
Yeah,
there
Ted
still-
went down and took down some trees. I think what we decided was on a routine basis.
Okay.
You know, if they're down in that area, they should, you know, some of those big pines should come down.
Because that was the other one, and this wall at Old Town, we gotta figure out the same deal, I didn't wanna touch it.
Where's that one tumbling?
Where the rock wall has kind of come down in a few spots, but it's hanging on like a thread. I don't know if, I asked Andy Fisk about it, I don't know if he ever looked at it. See.
He's the one where you could just drive up the street, pick it up, go back down the street.
You know, the other thing, we should ask, it was so long ago, we should ask Sean Clifton what he thinks about it now. He wasn't established back when we started that,
Yeah,
and I think he has really transitioned towards doing big hardscape jobs. Maybe he's interested in quoting it and taking a look at it. I mean, he knows what he doesn't, I don't think he has a lot of historic experience, but he does know what he's
right,
doing.
right. I mean,
And
it's
he's got his father back and mom.
right. He feels confident that he can get those 50-foot stones off that wall and do the drainage. See, I don't question the drainage, it's those big giant stones, that's the biggest issue.
Maybe we can ask him as well to, you know, it's been enough time, this is 21, to take another look at it and see what he thinks.
And you know what? I mean, the technology and what, you know, I watch way too much this old house.
You too.
I know that they can vary, you know, they can burrow behind, you know, these walls and create these drainage lines. It's like, well, why can't we do that?
And if you want help getting quotes, I can make calls.
Great.
I just would need to kind of know the main points, because if they're gonna ask me questions, my knowledge will come to a quick halt of what I need to know.
What we should
Some
write,
of those at least.
what we need to do is write a scope of work of exact, because like that Brazos quote just says prepare the base, it doesn't say anything about the drainage. But that's the one, I don't know if we have a later quote, that was just the one that came up in my emails. So we need to like exactly what we want them to do.
Yeah,
We
when
need to
we
get
went
kind
down,
of
we
quotes.
talked to
Yeah.
him in person, he was saying, this is what you need to do.
Paul, did you mean that's the big guy?
Yeah, Paul.
So,
All right, well, let me know how you make out, if you have any
And I-
progress.
we're gonna, I think we gotta talk to Sean about the beach.
Okay,
I mean, I know he'll be coming, we're gonna do a thing in June, but I know we've got all the work for him, so I can ask him what he thinks on it.
okay, all right, great.
Or even like Greenberg, I wonder if he's looking, you know, now that some of these guys are slowing down, maybe are more interested in random one-off jobs and
Right, right.
loan accounts. I don't know if he does as much of that.
I know Alan has a lot of experience in grants. So we might ask him too, or he knows
I
somebody.
don't know. Yeah,
So, all right, so those are, maybe we put that in the aside, need to finish pile.
We need like a master running list.
yeah.
We do. Because I think, you know, we talked about, there's been, you know, emails going around about doing the scenic road bylaw. And maybe getting that on the November STM, which is gonna mean that we need to, you know, we need to figure out if we can get that on, don't we?
But sounds like,
It's very effective.
well, from the research, when we talked the other time, it sounds like we may be able to adapt the existing bylaw without a lot of pain, without going crazy and doing home rule petitions and all that. I think we're not as screwed as we thought we were. Like, I think it's realistic. I mean, I don't know if you did any more.
Just because I'm in the midst
Are you
of
saying-
finals, I haven't, but once this dies down, I can look at it. It just needs to be redrafted.
Yeah,
And just like even the few things we looked at, like there's a couple other things in there that just aren't drafted correctly.
like, I think it's a solvable problem. Like, we don't need a whole charter or
Right,
craziness.
right.
And I also, I don't know if I said this, Isabella is super interested in stuff about trees and land clearing. I think she forwarded me an email, I haven't had time to look at it, but there's some discussion that was happening in the conservation agent mailing list.
Yeah.
And so I think they're interested in looking into that, and I think some of that can be done with conservation regulations versus
Yeah.
bylaws. Because apparently it's already illegal to clear more than an acre without going through the whole permitting
right.
process. So there's already some protections in place that maybe we just need to educate people about and enforce. But yeah, I think scenic road next fall is achievable.
Yeah,
Should throw a stonewall bylaw in there too.
That was part of what we looked at.
Yeah.
The big question I think that is complicated is regulating a stone wall not in the right of way. Like if you have stone walls in the back of your property,
Right,
that's where I think it gets tricky.
which there probably are tons of those, right, in woods and.
I don't remember if we found more on that or where, I think that's where,
Yeah, we just did basic.
I think if you clean up the definitions in scenic road.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff on the street can be incorporated into the, like what is protected.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like other towns have much stronger language in their bylaws.
yeah,
That covers more, that doesn't have all these, except this, that ours has.
yeah. I mean, what we've always had to do is do it one little step at a time.
Yeah.
Add a little bit more, add, give it a few more feet. You know, just so that people can get comfortable with the idea, instead of just.
Well, the huge thing is after the election with Eric Hopper joining for planning. board.
Yeah,
You know, we'll have somebody on the planning board who is willing to have these conversations. And I don't know Jay Kraus that well, but I think he was interested in historic stuff too.
oh, yeah, no, he definitely is.
I don't know him at all, so.
So I don't know if people have time, but maybe everybody can do a little, online search, so you can see anything, that looks appropriate, or just, read the bylaw, kind of get a feel for where we're falling short. And again, it's, are there other towns that are protecting, more of their stone walls, the foundations of their old barns and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
How is that being done? Sometimes you can hit an article and, one line, so
Yeah.
I'll do a random search.
Well, I found 3, so Boxborough, Sudbury, and Linfield are all 3 that have either good scenic road ones or stone wall ones.
Wow,
So I've like pinned those to keep, to like reevaluate.
excellent.
But they had just like, their language was really clear, just well drafted.
Yeah,
It just like laid out what you can and can't do, I don't know, it just was better,
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but we have miles to go.
yeah.
Do you want to send that link, those links to everybody? We can just read up on it?
Send it to the historic commission and I'll go to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's historical.
The Sudbury one is both combined, so it's Stonewall and Scenic Road.
Oh, nice.
Harvard House on Sherburne. Field.
I know this is Harvard.
I know, right? I know, it's gonna be. Not messing around with their stone walls. Don't mess.
The stone police. No, not the stone police. Stone police. This is a matter of public record, and I am speaking so off the cuff, not a good idea. So maybe if we do that, and then probably not at our next meeting. It's gonna be a hearing, although I think the hearing might go fairly quickly.
Yeah, man,
Maybe we can do an intro to the North Ave Historic District.
it might be good to talk with everybody there.
Right.
Assuming the hearing, I don't think that hearing is, I mean, hopefully she's got some research she's gonna do to bring back to us with
Yeah.
more information.
Do
And
you
we can
wanna-
talk about the process, because I think it'd be good to understand if there's an appetite for people to start
Hmm,
doing the research.
yeah,
Cause that's the big thing is writing up all that and then just pulling it all together.
Right, right. And it's amazing how much information has already been researched and written on by Dick Lee. I think he has done a phenomenal job, documenting, the history of North Avenue and, its little quirks and its agricultural roots, so,
I mean,
um,
we probably wanna have a final document by like December 30th, if to target next annual town meeting.
so 25.
Given what a disaster that was last time there, again, there's a ton of really strict timings with the district process. It's gotta go to the state so many days before, and the planning board so many days before, and all this, like 90 days.
Yes, that's right, we had to.
Yeah, we had some adjustments.
So you think by
I
December,
would
the
suggest-
draft should be ready?
I would suggest if we're serious about doing that, we should have a draft study in our hands by December 30th. That way we have all the time in the world to post the hearings, send it to the people. That gives us 5 months to, because I'm trying to remember what it was. It had to be transmitted to the planning board at least so many days before the town meeting and to the state and the hearing.
Yeah.
They don't have to hold a hearing though, despite what they think.
The planning board,
They do not.
No.
It just has to be transmitted to them. What they choose to do with that is their own damn problem.
it's
Just have the email receipts.
excellent.
The last one. Even that was it. Do you know how long it took me to get that stupid thing recorded? I've been to the registry 5 times between that and this park grant.
Yeah.
You go there, they have no idea what it is, you go back, you pull up the law. Turns out the whole holdup was they didn't know it had to be recorded as the amended historic.
Yes,
Like it
yes,
says right there on the map.
no. And they joke, it's like, could you just call Mass Historic? Figure this out, because,
That was the other thing I got in the mail today. I got my park agreement project for the grant finally back that
oh
took
God, that's great, Dan.
has to be notarized, and like, well, no, it doesn't, and you just recorded one for Blackstone last week that wasn't notarized. Well, I can't control what they, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. We don't take advantage of you enough.
I know.
Yeah, that, I think definitely the district, if we're gonna do that. I mean, and I don't know if there's other areas in town, I think it sounded like from the past discussions, North Ave was the next likely target.
Yeah.
If there's individual districts again. I don't know.
It might be great if we could get Dick Grady to come in and talk to us.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, because he's so knowledgeable. He's so pleasant. So I will ask Dick if he wants to come in.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, maybe he'd be willing to help us a little bit since that's his backyard.
Right.
Kinda-
Where's he live?
He lives on North Ave.
He does?
Yeah. Are there any other projects that you guys are interested in pursuing, or do you feel comfortable just kind of going along right now and?
I feel like it would be good to like get the list going and then get some of the smaller ones just done. Or like
Yeah.
whatever needs to be wrapped up, just like clean those off the list before just starting a brand new project.
Sounds great.
Yep.
So we will put together a bucket list.
Are you not renewing from June?
I would prefer not to, but I would certainly be happy to attend meetings about behind the scenes.
Yes. I just was curious.
Which means we might need a secretary. We have 24 hours to respond.
I do have one thing I forgot, but maybe it's handled with the record room. We have to do a final report, and
Yes.
it's again like 37 pages of instructions, and I don't, unless it's something you or Lynn were willing to take on.
No, I'm gonna force Lynn to work with.
My thought was 90% of it, because it's the history and whatever, like we do it all, and then we just slot in the final updates and the modern pictures. We have to submit 4x6 photographs, not computer printouts, on photo paper, archival, this and that. Oh my God, yeah, oh yeah.
When do you do this?
I'm like, people, like,
Put it in the computer, all you want is paper. It's 2024 now.
Oh
my gosh.
I'm on nothing.
But okay. So, but yeah, so, because I think that's gonna be, I consider on getting these payouts. But if you guys are able to take that, I mean, again, I think a lot of the work, so I'm just gonna combine it all.
Right, right. And if you can get any information as to when you think they're gonna start.
Yeah, I'll know in the next couple of days. I'll follow up with the guy, find out what, if we need to meet with him or who needs to sign what. Again, I was gonna make a couple copies of the key.
Excellent. I might have copies.
Maybe.
Yeah. We could even look at
I
rekey.
know
It's all
Armando has
done.
a copy too.
Anything in there, really.
No, nobody's gonna be walking out with that big old safe. Okay, this sounds great. We'll get a list together. We'll start chipping away at what needs to get done and maybe after our May meeting, part of our June meeting can be buzz around and go look at stuff.
That would be great. I would love that.
Yeah.
Can we like pre-purchase things? I don't know if that makes sense. So like, if we had things on the list that we needed, could we tap into the budget that we have going for this fiscal year
We can buy
now?
physical
So if,
things.
even if we used it later, just to like, 'cause I feel like it's such a waste to just let the money go back.
Yeah, it depends what it is.
Get
But
what
for the
we
most, so the town can't pay for, like, we have to receive things.
Right.
So I can't make a deposit on something, but I could like pay for a year-long subscription now that crosses the fiscal year. There's some room, we can buy physical things, certainly.
Okay, well, I was just curious if there were things, cause it's like,
You know, if we wanna buy
if we're
something.
like strapped to a
But we-
budget.
Like, we can't put a deposit down for future summons, that's legal. But I also think, I mean, I think from the conversations, and it might even been one of the things he put under ARPA, I think they are setting money aside to finish the inside of this building. So I don't think the expectation is that we would have to pay for signage in this building.
Yeah, no, I think they should
Um,
generate that.
the only thing I wanna go back to CPA for is like the big, display cases.
Yeah,
And then if we have to hire professionals to move the pictures,
right,
that
yeah,
would be something. But I think Mike that may have been on his ARPA list.
okay, all right. So yeah, we'll get down to the fine details on that list. And we'll go over it if you have any suggestions. June meeting.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
I don't think so. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Can you ask Deb if we can discuss
Go on,
North Ave District
Sure.
on May 20th? Maybe what we can do too is invite the women that have been working, the people that have been working on the North Ave research in as well. They've been chipping away at it, they've got, everybody, they've all been assigned a certain number of homes, so they're all slowly working. Yeah, society. So we can have them come in and get a report of what's been done, what needs to get done.
It's helpful.
Yeah,
There's no point in like starting it if we don't know, because why do things twice?
exactly. And I know Amy DeWitt has a list of who is covering what parts of North Avenue. And, but it's always good to like have somebody come in, and scan old photographs of North Avenue, in all of those pieces, come into play,
Yep.
so. Identifying people that lived on North Avenue, which, unfortunately had some significant people that lived on North Avenue, so. That's always good.
Yeah.
And then I believe all of the deed searches have been done. Am I speaking out of line there? For North Ave?
Probably, I mean, in general, I think there's a deed search for almost every significant historic property. The ones that I find not done are the ones where it's like a house from the 50s.
Yeah,
But yeah, and I feel like North Ave, she's done more of, let me look at this.
and that's on the preservation
Yeah.
website.
Let's look. Like I forget where I was looking, I was having a hard time finding.
Those also just be on the state website, like just a regular like registry.
Yeah, so somebody they are there, but somebody in town, Patrice Doucette, who's on the society, basically did deed searches on all of these properties
Oh,
and
okay,
put them on this website.
That's
I'm trying to
helpful.
find North Ave, because she's like amazing, and then every single one of them, you click on it, and here's a chart, and here's a link to all the documents.
oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
The deed website, the state one is so annoying.
yeah, because you have to so Patrice has done all that.
Oh, yeah, don't go there, because there are 7 pages of North Avenue.
Where does North Ave end? She stopped at 139,
Yep, I believe 139.
so there might be more, but she's really good too, where you just be like, hey, and then she's like, oh, I'll do that next.
And, one of the things that they need help with is photographing, these properties. So that she wants to enter them onto the preservation center website so people can visually identify the home. But that's also, if you want to take on a project, go out and do 10 houses or whatever.
Like current pictures?
Current
Like,
pictures,
okay.
yeah.
If somebody had design, you could do like a map, click on the map. But I think Isabella knows a little bit about it.
Yeah, she's done a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's But yeah, that's the preservation then
Okay.
website, so if you click on, like this is, this is the house that's still on. The Samuel Doggett house.
Yeah.
He was in pastor.
Where was that?
That was
160.
where the pheno field is.
Oh,
Those
okay,
two
yeah.
houses, so, it's kind of,
They overnight, right?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's done, the only ones left are some of these like last tail end ones, Gardner.
Each and every one, and then you can go to each document. So you can go back to the very first part of the deed, and I can't read it.
Yeah, really.
Although this is very well written.
I was gonna say, it's very nice handwriting, and I still can't read it.
You gotta go to the right, some of them are, is that a really bad one?
No, this is a,
Some of them, they have really good script, and other ones, it's like illegible. And then,
And this was,
like, that's a good one.
Yes,
this is some of the.
this might be a reader.
Handwriting.
Yeah, but it's funny, because in order for me to learn what the language in the deeds, well, I first started by translating them, and I was hours and hours and hours, what is that letter, who is that person? But eventually, there's a rhythm in all of these deed searches, and, and you pick up on it, the more you read, the more you get, oh, okay, yeah, I get that, I know what that sentence is, and what they mean by that, so, yeah. It's pretty interesting, but it's a great resource, she has done an extraordinary amount of work.
Who's this?
Patrice Doucette, so she used to be a member of the Historical Society, she still works on these, on the stuff, yeah, she's
Wow.
very good, she's very thorough. I mean, I tried several times.
Yeah, why isn't she, no, but why isn't she on one of the committees?
She just.
I don't think she's super interested in like getting involved and being
Yeah.
front in the front. Her, were they married, husband Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was very involved back in the, he was the accountant, treasurer, whatever for the society for a while.
Very nice guy. He also loved history. He did all kinds of research. He did a whole presentation on the Mendon Airport, and he did one on the carousel and then Lake Park. Compiled all this information, real big history buff. You walked in their house, it's like, She was a big delight.
Your birthday's always fast.
Oh, my God.
No spot.
I know, it's
Still, yes, yeah, I love watching the video of the Civil Air Patrol,
yeah.
marching around and then the ladies and everybody gets in line.
What's interesting, and so now, so that's one of the areas they have high PFAS. Some of the properties where the airport was.
Oh, really?
And I was thinking, like, they didn't use those chemicals in Mendon, but then actually, Isabella's the one that was pointed out to me. The problem is they had to train. You can't just so they actually did drop that foam when they were doing it back when there was civil defense and all that. So that's probably why now it's showing up over there.
Really?
Kind of, it's fascinating, yeah.
All right, should we wrap up?
Okay,
Jen,
somebody.
All right.
who's gonna make the rules? I need a motion.
Just motion to end the meeting?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.